Welcome to Let's Play Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. For those of you that are thinking that this is going to be another Spyro game, I'm sad to say you're going to be a little bit disappointed because it's not technically a Spyro game. If you know anything about it,
Wowsers,
they basically took
a
advantage of this whole toy system to, maximize on money. But if you have given it a chance, you'll notice that there's a lot of really fun gameplay. So I'm Rando Gamer, and I will be doing a Let's Play of this, and hopefully getting a 100% walkthrough. So this first episode, we'll be going through our first level, Shattered Island. And I will be talking about a lot of the different gameplay mechanics for it, and hopefully having a little bit of fun. That's the goal here on this game, is just to have a little bit of fun while we go through.
The core explodes. Then I start hearing voices, and
So,
now I'm in the middle of a village being ripped apart.
If you
by
know
knows what. Clearly,
exactly what you have to do to get 100%, you'll know that you have to have at least 8 different characters. In the game, there's 8 different elements, or at least types. You have your techno, earth, life, undead, magic, and water, air, and fire. In order to 100%, you have to have all of them because there's certain sections that require certain elements to get into. First things first, if you notice, whenever you go to the upgrade screen, you'll see that my characters have quite a bit of stuff done. I would, if I could, have taken and gotten rid of all the upgrades and whatnot, but if you do that, you can't come back unless you play through it all over again and level them up again. So as much as I would like to start with characters that have no stats, it would be a pain in the ass to get them back to where they're at. So if you look, they each have upgrade systems. Usually the first 2 are already given to you. They relate to your first 2 basic moves. Then as you get money, you can begin upgrading. That doesn't actually occur until the 3rd level. You'll see how that occurs. You also have actual leveling up from collecting experience from enemies. That only increases your health. Then these other stats you can increase by 1 wearing hats, or there's these challenges that I'll show probably in a later episode that level up certain ones. And the hats, as you see, this the plus 15 in parentheses relates to my hat and increases my armor, which you might think that's just decreasing the amount of damage that you take. Actually, it's the likelihood of you blocking an entire attack. So why don't we just go ahead and get started. My goal is to cycle, so I like to play a level and then with one character all the way through, except for certain areas that we'll talk about later. So this is Trigger Happy. He's a tech element. I've got him up to level 10, which is the max level for this game. And I have one more upgrade to get him. So there's a couple different things, and as we get to them, I'll discuss them.
We heard the Skylanders were all gone, but it's great to see you're here. That main road was destroyed, and now the townsfolk are all trapped inside. It's very dangerous. Taking down that wall seems like it might help. Maybe that old cannon will work.
Okay, before I get too much further, I'm also going to show the other thing. So, in order to 100%, you want to look at all these things. So, the far right are the things that you have to collect. I'll talk about specific ones when you find them. The very first one, you have to find all the areas in the level. So, there's certain areas of it are named different things, and you have to find all of them in order to complete that section. The middle one is the reason you have to play the level at least twice. So usually you can go through finding all the areas, killing enough enemies, and losing no lives in the first round because you take it nice and slow. But you have to come back at least one more time and clear it. speedrunning. So for that, or at least in my recording, Spyro's probably the fastest character that I have. So I'll probably be saving him solely for speedrunning, or in cases where it looks like I'm about to die. In terms of dying, even when you first start out, it should only be like 1 or 2 deaths tops. So yeah, it's not an overly hard game. It just takes a little bit of time to clear everything. So
The Skylanders are back.
for this first item, we're going to open up the gate, and then you fire the cannon again. I'm going to show you where the legendary treasure
You're a
is.
Skylander, aren't you? I didn't know you guys were here. We could really use your help. Can you grab that key and get us out of here?
Get the key, young portal master. Use
So
it
I
to
am playing on the
open
Wii
locked
version,
gate.
which means there's a lot of like a little bit of motion control stuff in it. So that cannon that I fired just took out the building over there that'll have the legendary treasure. So here's our first treasure chest, one of the items that you have to collect in order to 100%. It's just full of money, so you know, raking in the cash right now. So you know, I've found that it's interesting to find out all the different levels and stuff. So here's our first legendary treasure, the salary swine. Just gave us some extra gold, which works well. There we go. So the big thing as you go through the levels the
Your
first time is you
Skylander
just
will
take your
need a
time,
key
making
to
sure you're
open
collecting
this gate.
everything.
Oh, am I so glad the Skylanders are here. Hope there are more of you. We have a doodle of a problem here. See, the bridge is out, and people are trapped on the other side of Turtle Gully. Gosh, I hope they're okay. Robbers over there can't move that turtle. Could you please help him?
Also, there's a few other things that you have to do in order to 100% the game. Not only do you have to get at least one of each element, there's actually 4 other packs that have the last 4 levels. You don't necessarily need them to beat the story mode, but in order to 100% you have to have those to collect the last of the items. So, hopefully I'll have them by the time I get to there. There's like 26 levels
Push the
without
turtle to clear
the
a
last
path
little
forward.
starter packs. So, my plan is to, you know, demonstrate all the characters I currently have, and you know, as I get new ones, I'll incorporate them.
Hey down there!
So this is another one of the characters that's important to our story. He actually is in the next game as
Boy, you
well,
got here just in time.
with a lot of the other
I can
characters
see
you'll
what's
meet
causing
too.
this island to shatter. Come here and I'll show you. Use those bounce pads. They're super springy.
So this is where you start switching characters
need
out.
a magic
So now
Skylander
you need
to
a
unlock
magic
this
one. I'm going to use Wrecking Ball for this portion. I've actually got all his upgrades, and I've leveled him up, so he's as powerful as you can possibly get him in this game. He's probably not my go-to character, but he does have some interesting attributes that, you know, kind of makes it fun. So, as you can see, here's this helmet, the Viking helmet. It increases the critical hit by 5, so it helps out a little bit. Also, an important thing to do when you're playing, you claim ownership of any Skylander you have. And if we go to our collection screen here, we go down to these alclaves, and you see here it has. So, the more of these that you fill out, and each one's specific, it increases the amount of experience you get from enemies at a time, so it helps out a little bit. So here's our first soul gem. Soul gems allow you to get the upgrade of all the characters, so there's one last final upgrade, like their special upgrade, and it also allows you to preview them. So any character I don't have, I'm going to preview or at least currently have. So I'll give the preview so you can see kind of what they're like. My goal by the end of this is to have as many of the Skylanders as possible, but you know, it costs money. It gets ridiculous towards, you know, I mean, there's 32 different Skylanders and whatnot, so that's a lot of different, or a lot of money, considering how much each of the individual Skylanders cost. So, like I said, I like to keep one character specific for the entire level, except for specific elemental gates. That way they can collect and level up as much as possible. So here's our first Dory scroll.
While the shape and size of portals vary, under the control of a true portal master, these mystic devices can connect 2 points in space, dimension, and, if we are to believe ancient legends, even time. Portal masters can then send Skylanders and
So the
magic
scrolls
to
kind of
the
just
other
give you,
side.
every once in a while they give you kind of like hints of stuff that you could have possibly missed in the first run through, or just random facts about the Skylanders universe.
Twister?
So
It's a big one, all right, but I got an idea.
it's another one of those things
What
that
we're gonna do
you're just trying to collect
is
them. If you get all of them, it increases your. There's an accolade for collecting all of them, and it increases your experience and stuff. So
That was close. It's okay. You go on ahead, and I'll take
So
her
now we're
around
coming
and
up
meet you
on our
back here
first
later.
actual enemy of the game.
You again. Thank goodness. I'd gladly escape this raging tornado, except these monster gates are in my way. Monsters always stake out their territory by putting up these gates. And these are particularly nasty little monsters, too. Hungry little chompies. I'll be on the safe side, thank you.
Not
It
really
sure
helpful
beats
there,
being
Blobbers.
on the
Just
chompy
screwing us over.
side.
So
Is
this
where
first enemy
you
is kind of,
are.
you know,
But
pretty
don't
basic,
worry.
especially the
These
fact that
gates
I've
will
leveled up
open once all of
Trigger
the
Happy,
monsters have been
basically as
defeated.
powerful as they can
So all
possibly
you
be,
have to do is
except
just
for his
get
last
rid of
power-up.
all of the chompies in there, and everything should be just fine.
I'll demonstrate the whole powering up whenever we
Good
get
luck.
to it. It won't be this episode. I think it's the third episode, third level, if I remember right, that'll actually give us the ability. So
Use your
the
attack
little
buttons
glowy
to
orb
defeat
things
the
here are
chump.
the experience. If you notice, the bar down at the bottom isn't anything. That's because 10 is the max level in this game, so I'm not really gaining anything from the experience here. Out of force of habit, collecting all the experience that comes out. One of the things I like about Trigger Happy, you notice, his rate of fire is only matched by how fast you can click the fire button. So that's his standard
These are
attack there.
elemental gates. Behind these kinds of gates are some
If you're
great
playing the Wii
treasures,
version, that's his A
but they
attack.
can only be opened by a Skylander of the same element. So, like, the water gate can be opened by a water Skylander.
As you can see, this game is
And the
usually
tech
geared
gate
towards
is,
a little bit
well,
younger demographic
you know, by a
because
tech
they're
champion.
making
I mean, it's totally
pointing out
obvious, right?
almost the most obvious of things.
You need
So yeah, this is his basic A attack. This is his like secondary attack that you come with. B throws random. Like, in this instance, the pot of gold. It's different whenever we first start out. Then you have his like third attack that you can get if you upgrade and stuff. That's his. If you press the Z button, for him, it's a machine gun. Speed, actually. So each of the characters have 3 different kind of like buttons that correlate to either attacks or like abilities. Like I said, I'll elaborate on what they are as we go through this Let's Play. So this is the second of the hats. So like if you go back to not the collection, the objectives, you see everything's updated. So there's one more hat, there's another treasure chest in the level to 100% it. So what'll happen is I'll play through this one. I'll play through the entire story mode, and then we'll come back and do the speed run. So got to switch to watermelon element here. He's upgraded complete all the way, so standard attack. You missed a lot of the upgrade sequences, but that's that. B attack is a water gun. Z is a jetpack using the water. It helps him move a lot faster. Gilgrunt's actually really, really strong. And his final upgrade, since I have that already, is if you hold A, it turns into a giant anchor, and then basically a wreck shop. Gilgrunt's usually my go-to character in really tough battles because he's got a nice range attack and it's a really powerful attack, so it kind of helps out a lot, keeping the enemies at a distance. And, you know, just overall, wrecking shop. Yeah, this first level is kind of boring, to be honest, because I've honestly played through this level more than a handful of times. So, here's our next treasure chest. It is nice whenever you get to some of the later levels because it you can start really raking in the cash. I mean, they kind of planned ahead because you're not even allowed to upgrade until like the third level, after the third level, so. This is just beneficial. Okay, so that was food that just adds health back. So, you know, if you're struggling, try and find that food. Once you get later on, a lot of the harder enemies will drop either extra gold or extra, you know, food there to increase, bring back health. But I mean, as this is the first level, there's not much need for it. Honestly, just destroyed the entire Chompy army in a matter of seconds. So here's our last treasure chest. Bounce back over, get the key, and complete the level. So if we double check our objectives, you see we've already started out one area, and we should be good on everything else except for the run through. So. And that should complete our first level. If I remember right, there is a cutscene right after this, so we'll go ahead and let that play, so then you have a little more idea of what's going on.
You did it! Thanks to you, all of the villagers managed to evacuate just in time. This is only the beginning. There are reports of terrible disasters all throughout Skylands.
Yeah, well, there's gonna be another one if we don't get moving. That tornado is right on top of us.
Oh, right. We should get to safety. I'll explain everything on the way.
And as if by magic, just because we're leaving, the tornado starts moving. So, you know, we're lucky on that front. So, 2 stars out of 3, and only one thing left to do for the last one. So, that was good. And so here's that cutscene that I was talking about.
As anyone could remember, Skylands was protected by the wisest and most powerful beings of all, the Portal Masters. And the greatest among them was Master Eon. He and his Skylanders protected the core of light. For centuries, the core of light had enriched the world, holding at bay the darkness, the ultimate force behind all evil. But now, Eon was the last Portal Master, and growing weaker with age, he knew it was only a matter of time before the darkness would return. Master Eon, those clouds, is something
Once
wrong?
again,
Have you ever known
Master of
dark,
Office.
boiling, ominous clouds
Right there,
to be a
Hugo.
good thing, Hugo? Take your station, Hugo. Skylanders, the darkness.
I do like this sequence because it kind of just shows off some of the characters.
Behold, it is I, Chaos. Long have I waited for this day to take
So
my
this is our main
revenge.
villain here.
Soon you will all
Chaos.
bow down before me, Chaos. Chaos.
Chaos! I might have known. And what happened to your head? It looks ridiculous.
And see, this reminds me of the good old days whenever Invader Zim was back on TV, because the voice is Invader Zim. So
See? I told you the head isn't scary.
there's a lot of comic relief in this game that I truly enjoy.
You thought you had banished me to the Outlands? I, Chaos, have returned to destroy the core of light and rule Skylands as its emperor. And you are so old and weak now, Eon. There is nothing you can do about it.
I've told you before, Chaos. You and the darkness have no power here.
Oh, is that so? We'll just see about that. Minions?
Skylanders!
Like I said, it just kind of demonstrates how awesome some of these different Skylanders are.
Okay, I worked it out. We're losing. Maybe we should go to Plan B.
No, Plumshanks. I have a much better idea. Initiate Plan Z!
Not the core!
And that's when you know you had a bad day. So this is their whole theory behind why the game exists, trying to make it, you know, little kids believe that this is some real stuff going on.
Master Eon?
So
Anyone? And that was the day the core of light was scattered to the far corners of the universe, and Skylands lost its greatest protectors. But there is more to their story. As the Skylanders were drawn farther and farther away from the magic of Skylands, they began to shrink until they reached your world, waiting for you to find them. And Master Eon, he survived the blast, but was changed. He became a spirit. Though without his body, he couldn't fight chaos and the darkness. But now we have
Good for us,
you,
right?
young Portal Master.
like I said, it is an actually really enjoyable game. So that basically concludes this episode.
thank
Because
the
the
portals
one
we
thing I
made
would
it
look
back in
to
one
show off
piece.
is the
So as you can see, with our
the
core of
whole
light destroyed,
upgrading
Skylands
system,
is
but
in
we
great
can't
danger.
quite do it yet.
I'm sure that tornado was no accident.
I'll run around
This is
the
clearly the
area
work of
here,
chaos.
show off the sections, and kind of talk about it.
Chaos. Oh, that guy really grinds my gears. If you're taking down Chaos, you can count me in.
Glad to hear it, Flynn. Callie agreed to help too.
Callie? Ah, Callie. Well, I've heard some things about that gal. Interesting things. If she's involved in this, count me double in.
Splendid! When you're ready, go with Flynn to perilous pastures.
I'll prep the balloon for takeoff.
And if you bring back any more of those sheep, I'll
Alright,
never
so
forgive you.
up here, that little section there, the metal grating or whatever, is where we can upgrade later. Down there, we get to different levels later. A bunch of random trees that are blocking some stuff that become important later. Another section of levels that we can get to a little bit later. This thing right here. So if you see, there's 3 different elements. If you destroy them, like I'm about to do, so you attack with the corresponding element to take it out, that piece of it. So we attack. Oh, by the way, I didn't show him off yet. So there's his A standard attack. It's a really strong, or really long tongue. And just crazy. His B attack goes into this little ball thing, and you can control it a little bit. And his Z, it's a big burp, fart, whatever the hell. So switch to a guild run.
In for the win!
And then back to Trigger Happy to actually collect what we're gonna get here. Drop and a bunch of money. So each time you come back, it adds one more element to it. So you have to constantly be collecting different elements in order to keep up with the little changes in there. My screen is glitching just a little bit, so that's why I was kind of stuttering there, trying to figure out where I was actually pointing. So that basically covers the I guess the hub station for now. We'll just mess around for a little bit. This has been Rando Gamer. This has been Let's Play Skylanders Spyro Adventure. See you next time as we take on Level 2, the Rescue of Callie.